You're not leaving yet. Establish a warm, grounded atmosphere while letting the first spark quietly take shape. The audience should feel that something is forming beneath ordinary moments. The night begins like any other friendly gathering. She had invited a few people over. Nothing extravagant, just good wine, soft music, and laughter echoing through her house. It's late now. One by one, friends have said their goodbyes, leaving only traces of their presence. Half-empty glasses on the table, crumpled napkins, and the lingering warmth of shared conversation. He didn't plan to be the last one here. It just happened that way. When someone asked if he could help tidy up, she met his eyes across the room with a look that was both amused and a little tired. "If you don't mind," she had said. But the way her voice lowered slightly made it sound less like a request and more like a quiet invitation. Now it's just the two of them. She moves through the living room with effortless grace. Not trying to impress, not performing, just being herself. There's something about the way she tucks a loose strand of hair behind her ear as she stacks glasses that makes the air feel heavier than before. He gathers plates, careful not to look like he's overthinking, but every small movement between them has started to feel noticed. The house is warm. A single lamp in the corner bathes the room in amber light, turning the edges soft. A faint jazz track still plays, the kind that feels more like a heartbeat than a song. The windows hum gently from the wind outside. The smell of cinnamon from the mulled wine lingers in the air, mixing with the faint floral scent of her perfume. The silence between their short bursts of conversation is surprisingly comfortable. He hears the quiet clink of glass as she places it on the counter. She laughs at something he says. Not a big laugh, but a warm, low one that settles somewhere in his chest. They both reach for the same wine bottle at the same time. His fingers brush against hers. It's a small thing, something that could easily be forgotten. But neither of them moves their hand away immediately. For a fraction of a second, her eyes flick up to meet his. There's no performance in it, just a still, searching look. A quiet recognition. She's older than him, that's obvious. But what draws him in isn't the difference. It's the steadiness in the way she carries herself, the quiet assurance in her every gesture. And maybe she notices the way he looks at her, not with boyish infatuation, but with something slower, more grounded. He offers to wash the last of the dishes. She leans against the counter, crossing her arms loosely, her mouth curving into a small, knowing smile. "You don't have to," she says softly, but there's no real insistence in her voice. The night has thinned down to its quietest layer, the part when everything unnecessary fades away, and what's left is the unspoken pull between two people who didn't expect to be standing this close, this late. Let quiet familiarity and unspoken tension deepen. The audience should feel the shift, from casual company to something personal. The house has settled into a softer silence. The last of the dishes are done, the music has dimmed to a low instrumental hum, and the night has officially crossed into the quiet hours. The kind of time when people stop talking about surface things and, without really meaning to, begin to reveal a little more of themselves. She's leaning against the kitchen counter, barefoot now, her shoes abandoned somewhere by the door. He sits at the small island opposite her, elbows resting on the cool marble surface, rolling the stem of his empty glass between his fingers. It's not awkward. It's the opposite of awkward. There's a gentle stillness that almost feels like a held breath. She talks about little things at first, how the night turned out better than she expected, how she likes the quiet after everyone leaves. He listens, watching the way she speaks with her hands, how her shoulders soften when she's not playing host anymore. The polished, confident woman who greeted everyone hours ago is still there, but now she's less composed, more real. She looks at him in a way that isn't performative or guarded, just present. The amber glow of a single lamp washes over her face, highlighting the delicate lines at the corner of her mouth, the kind of lines earned by years lived fully, not regretted. Outside, the wind has quieted, leaving only the occasional creak of the house settling. The kitchen smells faintly of wine and citrus. A strand of her hair has come loose from the neat way she'd tied it earlier. It falls across her cheek, and without realizing, she tucks it back behind her ear. His eyes follow the gesture like it's the most natural thing in the world. Her voice is lower now, softer. The world outside the two of them has blurred out. Even the soft jazz sounds like it's keeping its distance, making room for the quiet rhythm between them. He leans forward slightly, not on purpose, just pulled in by something invisible. She notices but doesn't step back. She shifts her weight, crossing one ankle over the other, a small, relaxed movement, but the distance between them feels smaller now. She asks him something personal, not deeply vulnerable, just a small door opening. Maybe about where he grew up, or what he really wants to do with his life. He answers honestly, more than he expected to. She listens with that kind of attentive quiet that makes a person feel fully seen. When she laughs, a soft, almost private laugh, he realizes how much he likes the sound. And when she tilts her head slightly as he speaks, eyes warm and steady, it's like she's letting him in without announcing it. A subtle moment happens when she reaches past him to place a clean glass on the counter. Her arm brushes against his. Just skin against fabric, warm and fleeting, but enough to make his pulse trip for half a beat. She notices, too, not in an embarrassed way, more like someone quietly aware of a line neither of them is pretending not to see. He tells himself this is nothing, just good conversation, a late night, but there's a flicker beneath his ribs. A quiet realization that the air has shifted. She isn't just someone he happens to be talking to anymore. She's her, the woman who makes silence feel like gravity. She takes a small sip of water, sets the glass down, and smiles. You know, she says softly, I don't usually let the night stretch this long. Her tone isn't teasing. It's honest, warm, a small confession wrapped in understatement. And just like that, without any grand gesture or obvious flirtation, the distance between them isn't just physical anymore, it's emotional. Something has started to unfold. Quiet but sure. Make the quiet feel charged. The audience should sense that something unspoken has settled between them. Subtle but magnetic. The kitchen is clean now. The laughter and noise of earlier hours are distant memories, tucked into empty glasses and folded napkins. It's just the two of them and the kind of silence that's not empty at all. It's alive. She offers him another drink. Not out of obligation or politeness, but softly, as if she's giving him a way to stay without saying it outright. One for the road? She asks, tilting the bottle slightly, her eyes glinting beneath the warm light. He knows he could say no. He could leave. But his mouth answers before he can overthink. Yeah, sure. She smiles then. Not a wide smile, but a quiet, satisfied curve of her lips, as if she already knew what he'd say. She pours the wine slowly, the faint sound of liquid against glass filling the stillness between them. The house has shifted with the night. Outside, the rain has started, soft, steady, tapping against the windows like a heartbeat. The lamp above the kitchen island casts a warm, honey-colored glow, leaving the edges of the room in shadow. She sits opposite him at the island this time, not leaning away, but closer than before. Her hair is a little looser now, a strand slipping down as she lifts her glass. He watches as she brushes it back with her fingers. Unhurried, graceful. The space between them isn't much, maybe a meter, maybe less, but it feels smaller than it did an hour ago. Every breath, every glance, every shift of her posture lands differently now. They talk but slower. Pauses stretch, soft and heavy. He finds himself listening to the rhythm of her voice more than her words. It's low, smooth, with a warmth that makes the night feel softer. Her foot shifts beneath the counter. A light brush against his leg. Fleeting, delicate, but unmistakable. She doesn't flinch. She doesn't apologize. She just meets his eyes and holds the look, calm and unbothered. He feels the weight of that touch long after it's gone. She tilts her head slightly. You're quiet all of a sudden, she says softly. He exhales a laugh through his nose. Maybe I'm just listening. Something flickers behind her eyes then. Not surprise, not discomfort. Recognition. A silent acknowledgement that the air between them has thickened into something neither of them is pretending away anymore. He's aware of every small detail now. The way her fingers curl around the stem of her glass, the soft crease at the corner of her mouth when she listens, the way the lamplight catches in her hair. And beneath that awareness, something steadier, a pull. Not frantic, not reckless, but sure. The kind of quiet gravity that doesn't ask permission. She leans forward just slightly. He mirrors it without realizing. Their voices lower, as if they've subconsciously decided the night is no longer for everyone else. It's theirs now. Shared. She taps her glass against his lightly. "You're easy to talk to," she murmurs. "It's not a flirt. It's not small talk. It's honest." And in that moment, two glasses clinking under soft light, the shift is complete. Neither of them has touched in any obvious way, and yet they've crossed a threshold. Not with their hands, but with everything else. Let their walls slowly lower. The audience should feel the softness of trust beginning to bloom, the kind of moment that lingers long after words are spoken. The rain has grown steadier outside, creating a gentle, rhythmic backdrop. The night has stretched itself thin, and the world feels smaller now, as if everything beyond these walls has been gently pushed away. The lamplight is the only thing between them and the quiet dark. Their conversation has slowed into a softer register. Gone are the polite questions, the light teasing. Now they talk about the real things, the kind of things that don't usually come out in crowded rooms. She rests her elbows on the counter, glass loosely in her hand. There's something different in her face now, a kind of honesty that doesn't announce itself but simply arrives. She tells him she doesn't usually let the night stretch this long. That usually, once everyone leaves, she pours herself tea, turns off the lights, and enjoys the silence alone. But tonight feels different. The way she says it is quiet, almost hesitant. Vulnerability wrapped in understatement. He listens closely, not just to her words but to the way she breathes between them. He realizes she's letting him in, not into her house, but into her world. The glow of the kitchen lamp is soft and gold, haloing the edges of her hair. The rain outside has turned into a steady whisper. The scent of red wine mingles with something subtler now. Her perfume, warm and a little sweet, settling into the air like a secret. Her voice is lower, gentler. She's not performing, not flirting, just being. He leans his forearms on the counter, mirroring her posture without thinking. It feels natural, as if his body knows how to listen before his mouth does. Their hands are close on the counter, not touching, just close enough that the space between feels electric. She glances down at the space between them once, a flicker, before looking back up at him. She admits something small, maybe about the way people assume she's always in control, always composed. But tonight, she says, she doesn't feel the need to be. He doesn't rush to fill the silence. He lets her words land. He lets her breathe. That's what makes her keep talking. She tilts her head slightly, studying him. "You don't talk just to talk," she says softly. "That's rare." He shrugs, a half smile. "Maybe I just like listening to you." Something shifts behind her eyes. Not a spark this time, but something quieter, something warmer. He notices the tiny details more now. The way her fingers trace the rim of her glass, the faint nervous energy she tries to hide behind her easy smile. She notices him noticing, and instead of pulling back, she lets it happen. Their knees brush under the counter. It's accidental, but neither of them moves away. For a heartbeat, the night holds its breath. Outside, a gust of wind rattles the window slightly. Inside, everything is still. She exhales, a sound soft and real, and says something she didn't plan to say. Maybe about how long it's been since someone made her feel seen. Not desired, not admired, just seen. And he realizes then that this is no longer a flirtation. This is a quiet unfolding, a door opening without a sound. Amplify the unspoken pull between them. The audience should feel every pause, glance, and breath like it's echoing in the room. The night has stretched itself as far as it can go without something changing. The rain outside has slowed, falling in steady, delicate ribbons against the windows. The lamplight has dimmed into a kind of quiet gold. She looks at the clock on the wall. Not because she wants him to leave, but because she knows how late it's gotten. That small glance is a reminder of the outside world, but neither of them really wants to step back into it. He stands slowly, setting his empty glass on the counter. She watches the movement, leaning slightly on her elbow. "Guess I should," he begins, but his voice trails off as if even he doesn't fully believe it. She moves before he can finish, walking with quiet grace toward the front door. She doesn't rush. She never rushes. But there's something in the way she walks that pulls him with her. He follows, not because he has to, but because it feels inevitable. The hallway is dimmer than the kitchen. The only light comes from the porch lamp outside, casting a soft, warm glow through the frosted glass. Rain still falls gently, creating faint patterns on the steps. The house has grown quiet, almost too quiet, as if holding its breath. She stops at the door, resting one hand lightly on the frame. Her hair has loosened even more now, falling in soft waves around her face. The scent of her perfume lingers in the air between them. Familiar now, but still disarming. He steps closer, close enough to feel the warmth of her presence, close enough that a single shift could change everything. He isn't touching her, but the space between them hums with possibility. She turns to face him fully, and their eyes lock in the half-light. It's quiet, painfully quiet, and for the first time tonight, neither of them tries to fill the silence with words. Her hand stays on the doorframe, but her body angles toward him. He notices the way her lips part slightly, the way her breathing has slowed. His heartbeat stumbles once, then steadies. She tilts her head a little, as if she's considering something. And then, with a kind of softness that feels far too dangerous, she licks her lips, slow, almost absent-mindedly. His breath catches. Just a fraction. But she notices. "You're not leaving yet," she whispers. The words aren't loud. They don't need to be. They settle in the air like something warm and electric, something that changes the shape of the night. He feels the shift like a tide pulling him closer. She's not asking. She's inviting. And beneath her confidence, there's something quieter. A flicker of vulnerability, the kind that comes only when someone decides to stop pretending. He steps forward just slightly, close enough that their reflections overlap in the glass beside the door. The world outside is dark and wet. The world inside feels suspended, like time has narrowed down to this one small space between them. She doesn't move back. If anything, she leans a little closer. Her voice drops lower, almost a whisper against the quiet. "If you want to," she adds. It's the smallest phrase, but it says everything. She's not holding him. She's letting him choose. And he realizes, in that quiet, charged space, that he doesn't want to leave. Let the tension melt into emotional honesty. No loud declarations. Just quiet, careful words that reveal what's been building beneath the surface. After she whispers, "You're not leaving yet," something in the air shifts. Not a storm, something quieter. A pulse. A held breath. He doesn't answer right away. He just looks at her, trying to read her face in the dim porch light. She's not teasing anymore. She's present, steady, soft, and terrifyingly real. She turns slightly, moving away from the door, her bare feet silent on the wooden floor. "Come here," she says, but it's gentle. Not a command, a bridge. He follows her into the living room. The lamps are still glowing faintly, casting soft shadows against the walls. Rain taps the windows like fingers on glass. It feels like the night has wrapped itself around them, leaving just this space. Just them. She sits down on the couch, the same one they've shared countless late-night conversations on. But this time, she doesn't fold her arms or cross her legs like she usually does. She lets herself stay open, unarmored. The room smells faintly of vanilla and rain. The cushions sink slightly as he sits down beside her. Their knees almost touch, not quite, but close enough to feel the heat between them. She tucks a strand of hair behind her ear. It's a small, human gesture, but he feels it like a pulse in his chest. Her hands rest in her lap. One of his is on the couch cushion, inches away from hers. Silence stretches. But it isn't uncomfortable. It's thick with everything unsaid. She exhales softly, the sound barely louder than the rain outside. "You're easy to be around," she says finally. Not flirtatious, just true. Her eyes stay fixed on her hands, like she's afraid to say too much all at once. He smiles faintly. You make it sound like that's a bad thing. It's not. She looks up at him then, and there's no guard left in her expression. It's just dangerous, because it makes me forget what I'm supposed to be careful about. His throat tightens, not from fear, from the quiet ache of wanting something that neither of them had planned for. She leans back a little, letting her shoulder brush against his. It's a whisper of a touch, but it feels like a confession. I wasn't supposed to like you this much, she murmurs. He lets out a small laugh. Not mocking, just raw. I wasn't supposed to stay this long. They both fall silent after that. But the silence isn't empty. It's full of everything they haven't said. Their hands inch closer, until the sides of their fingers barely touch on the cushion. That tiny contact feels louder than any kiss could. She turns her head slowly, meeting his eyes. Her pupils are wide, her breathing soft. You should know, she whispers. This isn't a game for me. He nods once, steady. It's not for me either. In that moment, they both know the line they're standing on. It's thin and bright and real. They could still step back, pretend this night never happened. But neither of them moves. His hand shifts just slightly, letting their fingers brush again. This time, she doesn't pull away. Instead, she lets her pinky hook softly around his. Barely a touch, but it anchors them. Outside, the rain eases into a soft drizzle. Inside, everything has become still. Resolve the tension without breaking its delicate beauty. Show a quiet, meaningful decision. Not rushed, not overly dramatic. Just two people choosing to stay in a shared moment. The room holds its breath around them. Rain has faded to a mist, barely tapping at the window now. The faint hum of the night seems to have folded itself inward, leaving them suspended in the soft half-light of her living room. Her pinky is still lightly hooked around his, a touch so small, but it's everything. Neither of them has moved in a while. It's as if letting go would break something they're not ready to lose. She exhales slowly, looking at him like she's memorizing every detail. You really should go, she says softly, but there's no conviction in her voice. If anything, it sounds like a memory of something she used to believe she had to say. He smiles faintly, meeting her gaze. Yeah, he whispers, though neither of them shifts. The air between them is warm, steady, alive. For the first time tonight, it doesn't feel like they're drifting on the edge of something. They are in it. The soft yellow lamp casts a pool of light around them, brushing gold against her skin and warming the room. The clock on the wall ticks, but quietly, like it respects their silence. Outside, the street is slick with rain, glowing under the dim streetlights. He studies her face in this light, the slight creases near her eyes when she smiles, the way her hair has fallen loose over one shoulder. She looks real. Not untouchable, not someone from a distance. She shifts a little closer. Not much, just enough that their shoulders touch fully now. The warmth of her body seeps into him slowly, grounding him more than any words could. She turns her head toward him. Their faces are close now, closer than they've ever been. A small smile tugs at the corner of her lips, almost shy. I don't do this, she admits quietly. He frowns softly, not out of confusion, but curiosity. Do what? This. Her voice catches slightly. Letting someone in like this. Not at this hour. Not at this level. The confession lands heavy, but gently. It's not a warning. It's a truth. A piece of her she's decided to hand over. He nods, his throat tightening around words he doesn't need to force. Me neither. For a moment, there's nothing but the warmth between them, the sound of their breathing, and the quiet rhythm of the night. Then, with a soft, almost hesitant movement, she rests her head against his shoulder. No grand gestures, just a quiet surrender. I shouldn't be asking you to stay, she murmurs, voice brushing against his shirt. He answers slowly, you didn't have to ask. This isn't about control or impulse anymore. It's about two people who found something unexpected and chose to not look away from it. She closes her eyes, just for a moment, letting herself breathe against him. He watches the rain outside, the world still turning, but for the first time in a long while, neither of them feels like they're waiting for something to happen. They're already in it. The camera would linger here, on the soft glow of the lamp, on her head resting against his shoulder, on their hands slowly intertwining. No need for kisses or promises, just presence, just a shared exhale. He leans his cheek gently against her hair. She doesn't flinch, doesn't pull away. The night settles around them like a warm, quiet blanket. She whispers one last time, almost playfully now, "You're not leaving yet." And this time he doesn't answer because they both already know. Some moments aren't loud, they're just honest. And when they find you, you don't walk away.